Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. It's been a long time, almost a year since I spoke with you, Dr. Nagaswamy. We don't, viewers, you don't need an introduction to Padma Bhushan awardee Dr. Nagaswamy. He's a scholar in Sanskritam as well as in Tamil. One of those rarefied people who has expertise in both these languages, and he's done in-depth study of the culture itself that has prevailed in should I say only Tamil Nadu or even otherwise, does it extend beyond that? You've done almost all of the southern India.
No, whole of India.
Whole of India.
Because I have been studying the inscriptions from Assam, from Bihar, from Bengal, in Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, and also in Southeast Asia, in places like Thailand and Cambodia, where you have large number of Sanskrit inscriptions, and for nearly 1,400 years from the beginning of the history, it's all only Sanskrit. So it gives us an insight into the development of language and development of culture, and important unity of the culture. And what is now claimed as independent culture, there is no such a thing as independent culture. It is one. Not only throughout India, but also throughout Southeast Asia.
Right.
That is the problem. It needs a comparative study with both Sanskrit and classical Tamil language. I have been studying recently the great grammatical work called Tolkappiyam by Tolkappiyam. At the outset, it looks as if it is a grammar of Tamil literature. But the more you start reading it and understanding the content, it's very clear that it is composed as a grammar for writing dramatic composition in Tamil.
So, dear viewers, sorry to... I just want to set the context here. Viewers, what we are going to talk about today is the whole concept of Dravidianism that has been touted by some of the political parties in Tamil Nadu. Now, Professor Nagaswamy will explain this in more detail. What he has done is he has actually researched into this thing. What exactly is Dravida? How did this word come about? What is Tamil? Where did this Tamil originate? What kind of form and shape did it take? And its extent and its impact on the neighboring areas. So, Professor Nagaswamy, we started out by talking about Tolkappiyam. In fact, if I just try to interpret Tolkappiyam, that itself appears to be a Sanskritam word. Tol is first, Kappiyam, Kavya, poem, first volume, you can think of it like that. So essentially, even the title of the book that is talking about Tamil, it's a Sanskrit word. And so where did it all begin? What are the different ways in which Tamil grew? And how is the concept of Dravid how is it hurting the Tamil itself?
Thank you for the question. Tolkappiyam was written by a scholar who came in the line of Kappiyas. Kappya is a Gotra name, and we have in Tamil Nadu several inscriptions and even what you call poems which refers to Kappya Kudi. So Kappya is a Gotra language, and Tolkappiyam is one of the most ancient what you call caste, not caste, it is a Kula, Gotra name. Now, he has this grammatical composition into three main parts as what you call written script and phonetic system. The second is the padam. Pada is the word, sol. That's the second section. third section is what is the meaning of it. Composition of words and poetry and expressions and so on. That's called Porul. So, எழுத்து, Sol and Porul are the three major divisions. எழுத்து, we know that after the advent of Maurya, Ashoka Maurya, in northern part of India, where he wrote all his edicts in what we call Brahmi characters, which has been adopted as it is in Tamil Nadu, and the earliest inscriptions in Tamil Nadu are all in Brahmi characters. So, what you call a script with which they expressed, that comes into existence somewhere around say 1st century BC or most likely in the 2nd century, 1st, 2nd century AD. We don't call it AD now, we call it CE, common era.
So Ashoka lived in 3 BC.
3rd century BC.
BCE.
3rd century BC.
Please continue.
Now, I don't want to go into the details of it. There is one chapter which is called, he deals with the words and composition of vakya, sentences and poetry. Some points left over, which he called HL, left over,
Right.
and he gives the sutras on that. The first sutra deals with what he calls, what are the words you can use in Tamil composition. And then he says there are 4 division of words which are used in Tamil characters, Tamil poems. One is called Iyal Tamil, natural Tamil. The second one is called Tiriswal. That
means
Thiri means which is just colloquial, it becomes spoken, slightly turned into a spoken form. It's no more that a classical form. Iyal is a classical form. This is a spoken form. The third one, he calls it as Disaichwal, which is at the boundaries of the Tamil land. And then the fourth one is Vadaswal, which the commentators say is both Prakrit and Sanskrit.
Now,
So,
Vada is north. So
Vada is north,
Yes.
northern one. So what he says is that in Tamil composition, poetry, you can use and you should use the 4 languages including Vadaswal. It was not excluded. So there were 4 languages, divisions of this language. One is Iyarchwal, second one is Tiriswal, third one is Tisaichwal, and fourth one is Vadaswal.
And whatever was left over was.
This is the one he says. These were left out, these were not dealt with in the other earlier sutras.
Okay.
I am giving you this.
I see.
And so when you compose Tamil, you use any one or all these 4 different sections of the Tamil in the poetry. Now when it comes to Vadaswal, he says when you write Vadaswal, Vada Ezhuthu Uri, you don't have the Varga letters in Tamil,
Right.
but they are present Ka, Kha, Ga, Gha.
Right.
These are available in Sanskrit and northern letters.
Correct.
You don't use it. You use only the first Prathama, Varga Prathama, Ka, while writing. But he also says when you pronounce it, you use the Varga sound value. Take for example the word Bhavam. Bha is a Varga letter in Sanskrit. If when you write Pavam in Tamil.
Right.
But when you pronounce it, you write as Bhavam.
So when does Pavam or Bhavam, both which are written the same, the way you have to pronounce it is around this word, what other things are being used?
So
isn't it?
unless you know the word, use of word
Right.
and the sound value, you will pronounce it. Someone who is there in Amazon or North America somewhere, If he is going to read only from the written form, he won't be able to pronounce it.
Right.
Only the man who understands Sanskrit pronunciation or
Right.
Prakrit pronunciation, he will be able to pronounce it correctly.
Bhavam.
And these two words have two different meanings.
Right.
Bhavam is emotion,
Right.
Bhavam is the sin.
Sin. Right.
So if you pronounce both as Bhavam, then the meaning changes.
So where does Tamil Grantham come into this?
No,
Because
Grantham-
has the differentiation, ka,
Yeah.
ga, ga and all that.
Yeah, you see, when you write documents,
Right.
you have to be precise in your expression.
Exactly.
These are not meant for just to be read, but these may be challenged in the court of law
Right.
in times of dispute, and you have to get the correct word
Right.
for correct meaning,
Right.
and they were very particular about the correct meaning so that the decision can be given right on that. So when they started writing on documents, instead of removing the Varga characters, they used the Varga characters also in the written form. And there, to have this northern sound value, phonetic value, they used what we call Grantha characters. It is nothing but the same Brahmi which evolved into other types of scripts in northern part of India, western part of India, southern part of India, in Kerala, and whole of Southeast Asia also. It was a Brahmi characters where you have the Varga character, and so when you say Raja, Raja, they will use the Grantha character in Ja. Like that, all words
Right.
which are derivative from Sanskrit or Prakrit, they used Grantha characters.
So what we are seeing, viewers, is that right from the period of Ashoka, there has been a very tight coupling between the languages, Prakriti, Sanskritam, Tamil, and so on, isn't it?
Yeah, much earlier.
Even before that, yes.
Because writing comes from the time of Ashoka.
Yeah.
Obviously, this was what you call Grantha and other things were there in pronunciation.
Right.
In ancient time, they emphasized pronunciation more. It was verbally transmitted, not only for general sentences and so on. In music, in dance, etc., you need the Varga letters sa, ri, ga, ma, pa, da, ni. You have sa, you have ga. You cannot sa, ri, ka, ma.
Yes.
You can't sing.
That is right. 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 The
So
precision
this-
needs to be there.
That is why we call it Siksha. Where do you learn this music? The music can be learned only by oral transmission,
Right.
because the sound changes like that. So that was there already in Tamil Nadu. But what is important, discussing this one, the commentators, one of the most outstanding commentator in ancient Tamil literature is Nachinarku. He has wonderful commentary on several Tamil texts,
And when did he live?
somewhere around 13th century. or
13th
so.
century. Okay. See.
Yeah, and he gives the tradition that Sendami Iyarkai Shivaniya Nilattudu is what is called the introductory verse in Thol Kappiyam. And what is this Sendami Nilam? He defines it as the land that is north of Vaigai, Madurai,
Right.
the capital of the Pandyas,
Yes.
and then east of Karur. Karur is the capital of the Cheras. And and then he says west of a village named Maruvur. Maruvur is mentioned in Chilapadigaram as the name of Pumbuhar,
Pumbuhar.
right on the coast.
Coast. Correct.
So west of that is west of Bay of Bengal, where river Kaveri joins the sea, and then he mentions one Maruda Aru. That within these four areas, the land is situated right in the mid with the flow of river Kaveri. On both the sides, it made fertile, the land fertile, and that is the place that is referred to as Sen Tamil Nadu. And all earchols developed from Sen Tamil Nadu. Evidently, that was the place where the classical Tamil developed. And so, if you are talking about Tamil culture, it is a river Kaveri Valley culture. This is the boundary they give. That is north of Madurai, the way on the Vaigai, south of Mardayaru, east of Karur, about 10 miles away from Karur, the river Kaveri, which is coming north-south all along, turns exactly into east and goes straight into river Bay of Bengal, and on either side is a fertile land, most fertile land in Tamil Nadu, and that is the place called Sen Tamil Nadu, from where the real Iyal Sol developed. So that is the core area where Tamil developed, originated and developed into a good classical dialect. And then he says, when he talks about Tirisol, the same Iyal Sol slightly undergoes modification as you move away from it. And there are 12 small territories all around, beginning from southeast. And then you start Kuttanadu, Kudanadu, Malay Nadu, and you have other Aruva Nadu. These are all there altogether, 12 lands around the Sen Tamil Nadu, with Vengadam in the north and Kanyakumari in the south, where you have the Tamil spoken, but as you move away from the core region of Kaveri Valley, there are changes and it becomes more colloquial and colloquial as you move away, but still the language is Tamil. So when we speak of Tamil land, Vengadam in the north to Kanyakumari in the south is always spoken of as Tamil Nadu. But it has already the classical character on the Kaveri Delta, and then as you go south, you have the colloquial Tamil. To decide Tirisol, the Sol which is slightly changed. So there is difference between the Tamil of Kaveri Valley and also extreme south in Kanyakumari.
Correct, right.
Also away from that. Then he talks about Disaichal. When you go beyond it, again he says, there are 12
again, viewers, Disha is again a Sanskritam word which means direction.
Yes.
So please continue.
Now when we say you go down south, he says beyond this Tiriswal, you have 12 lands all around. You start from, he says this very extraordinary geographical position, you start from southeast direction and move in a clockwise direction. There are 12 lands where we have other local dialects, as at Singalam, it speaks of Kollam, it speaks of Malay Nadu, and then it speaks of Karunadu, this is Karnataka, and above you have Tulu Nadu, and you have Konkani Nadu, and when you come to north, you have what you call Vadugu, northern. Vadugu means northern language, and then he says it is Telugu, and then he includes also Kalingam. So if you come in a clockwise direction, 12 lands, each with its own dialect, different dialect, but where on the boundary area between Tamil Nadu and these lands, you have mixing up of Tamil and what you call the regional language. So outside Tamil Nadu, beyond the colloquial Tamil area, there were other lands which included Karnataka, Kerala, and Vadugu, and also Telugu. These were separate dialects. They are not part of Tamil. Only on the boundary they were mixing up. Then in the 10th, 11th century, there were fights and invasions. In the time of the Cholas, they went into these places and settled, and so the mixing up and the boundary area is more prominent. And so one has to be very careful when you talk of taking those languages as part of one and the same language. What is the time, what is the area, and so on. And whatever you say, that beyond this, what you call Tamil land, the other area, they had their own dialects, which have also developed a classical form through the centuries. So, we have only Tamil, Sandamil, and then Tirisol, Disaichol, and then Vadasol. Vadasol was common to all Karnataka, Telugu, even Kerala, and so they were more prominent. And the Tamil was not there in Karnataka. Tamil was not there in Telugu country. Tamil was not there in Kerala country, in the core. So as we go away, they are different dialects, and also which becomes literary dialects. And so this is not one language, Tamil language, which was there found all over this area, as has been contested by these fellows. But at the same time, that is from around the 1st, 2nd century BC onwards, we have written records. For example, one of the most famous king of Kalinga, Karavela, who ruled around the 2nd century BC, he says he had a fight with the southern kings, where he calls Dramila Sangha in his inscriptions. Dramila, obviously, the union of the Tamil kings with whom he fought.
So those were outside of Tamil Nadu.
In the northern part.
Yes.
Northern part, northeastern part, we have an inscription in 2nd century BC which calls the Damilas as Dramilas. And then in the 2nd century AD, we have Nagarjanakunda, a very famous Buddhist center.
Yes.
There is a lady who is called Bodhisri. She gifted a land and built a Buddhist monastery for one Achand Acharya. It's a 2nd century AD. That's CE. Now,
I'm sorry.
many students came from different parts of the world, and it mentions Chinam, China. From China, students have come to learn under him. And then you have Magadha. Magadha is Bihar, and Tosali and other places. And then also from Afghanistan and Balochistan, Gandhara country. So it gives the list of areas from where people came to study under that Acharya. And it says one came from Dramila country. The name given is as Dramila. Similarly, we have inscriptions in 1st century, 2nd century in what you call Singalam, where Vanigas or the merchants who came from Tamil Nadu are referred to as Dramila Vanigas. So it is very clear that earliest reference to Tamil in non-Tamil areas where they spoke Prakrita and Sanskrit, they called Tamil as Dramila. The la and ra are little interchangeable,
right.
And so Tamil is referred to as Dramila, and Singala used to be called Tamraparni those days. So from there also people have come to study under this Buddhist in the monk, Buddhist monk Nagarjanakunda. So we have very clear evidence. Also the commentary which I told you, beyond Tamil land, you have Vadigu and also Telugu and the Kalinga. They are different. So what we have is, the core is Tamil along the Kaveri River Valley Delta, Kaveri Delta River Valley. That was the EL Sol. And as you move out, it is a little colloquial, and when you go, you have different dialects, but at the boundary level, you have the mixing up of Tamil with the local, all these 12.
Yeah.
And beyond that, Sanskrit, which call them Dravida, and in later Sanskrit it is called Dravida. There is no question of one culture all over these places. All cultures are all rooted in the Vedic culture. One and the same culture you find in northern part of India, in southern part of India, and you read Tolkappiyam, it is based on Varna, Ashrama, Dharma. And Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha are the essential part of throughout Tolkappiyam. You see that it is again and again and again mentioned, that is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. That's why you have Thiruvalluvar writing his book, famous Tirukkural, is called Aram, Porul, standing for Dharma and Artha and Kama. Moksha generally they don't discuss because it is what you attain in the next world or final liberation or realization. So the Dravida word is used by Sanskrit speaking people. Dravida is used by Prakrit speaking people to denote Tamil, and Tamil never called themselves as Dravidas.
So by really, using the word Dravida, you are hurting or harming the word Tamil.
No, you see, they ought to have talked about Sendamil. Tamil, the culture that was prevalent in Tamil speaking area. Instead, if they call Dravida, now it is more word, Dravida is more popular than Tamil. You have completely suppressed the greatness of Tamil, the classical nature of Tamil, and the area where it was prevalent, and you call it Dravida. This is the 19th century, what you call research. No harm in doing research. They took some words, from which part of Karnataka they took this, at what point of chronology they took it, all these are all not known. Just you take random words here and there and then say these are all common, and so the entire area is Dravida. That is not supported by either geographical, archaeological, historical, or penetrative study of Tamil grammar itself. And it is natural to see the Sendamil, Tamil, expanding right up to a certain area, and beyond that it is all the language of the other people.
In fact, Bharadiyar refers to this in his song, Sendamil Nadanum Inbathen Vandu Payudu Kadinale. So
there was no Semmozhi. Semmozhi is a literal translation in modern times of classical Tamil. But classical Tamil was known as Sendamil even in the time of Tolkappiyam. Sendamil Iyarkai Sivaniya Nilathudu Mundunul Kandu Muraipada Enni Pulam Dohuttone Pokkarum Puluval is the introductory part of
Tolkappiyam.
So let us be very clear that Tamil culture is not an independent culture. It is 100% Vedic culture. Even Vanigas, Tolkappiyam at one place says there, Veda Vanigas. You see, kings are Vedics, the Brahmanas are Vedic, and then even Vellalas, they become higher caste and become Vellalas also equal with the other four. And so Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudras, all of them are called Aryas. And the society was never only divided into compartmental section like this. There are many mixed castes. And there is always a provision for the lower caste to move up. Mobility of what you call caste to Vellala can become a Brahmana in about 3 or 4 generations by following his own rules, regulations used in Dharmasastras. So, Tamil culture, if you read properly, both what you call Tolkappiyam and what you call Tirukkural and more, Chilappadigaram, the greatest work, and then the Sangam literature, which consists of Ettu Thuhai and Pattu Paatu, hundreds and there are 2,500 nearly verses that were composed in the early period. And some of them were loose and some of them were long poems, and everywhere it is what is called the communication of emotion as prescribed in Bharata's Natya Shastra, where he speaks about 8 rasas: Sringara, Hasya, Karuna, Raudra, Veera, Bhayanagaha, Bibhatsa, Adbhuta. These are the 8 rasas that are mentioned in Bharata's Natya Shastra.
So when you say Navarasam, then what is the
No,
ninth one?
Santa was considered as one of the rasas. But this cannot be used in drama because there is no movement.
Right.
You cannot express anything through bodily movements and bodily gestures. And so they didn't accept Santa as a rasa for Natya Shastra.
Okay.
What is important is Tolkappiyam also speaks about the same 8 rasas as Meipadu. 8 Meipadu. And then how this Meipadu comes, Bharata Natya Shastra gives clearly. Take for example the fear as a rasa, bhayam as a rasa. From where does it come from? It is there in you, but by looking at wild animals or snakes, this is one source. The king may punish if you do any crime, so you are afraid of king's rule. And also pitch darkness, you think that there is Pesachi, Buddha, and you get afraid. So these are the sources that generate fear. And when it is used very cleverly in the dance performance, dramatic performance, on the stage, you get the bhaya as a rasa. The same thing as king's fear of wild animals, fear of darkness is also mentioned in Tolkappiyam. That is the cause of acham. Acham is bhayam.
Yes.
So, what is given in Bharata's Natya Shastra is also there in Tolkappiyam. And Tolkappiyam speaks about Meipadu, the bodily reaction of seeing great things. And it's not just ordinary reaction, it is aesthetic reaction which is called rasa in Natya Shastra and Meipadu in Tolkappiyam. These are the things that show that Tolkappiyam has derived great inspiration from Sanskrit culture. And they tell at every stage, some people there are attempts to say that this is a later interpolation. There is no such later interpolation. If you remove one sutra, it is mentioned somewhere else in other sections, and you will get into problem. And so you have to accept what is there. And there are nearly 5 or 6 commentators earlier, and all of them also use these and give the commentary on them. So you cannot remove something as later interpolation, and this is pure Tamil. There is no such thing as pure Tamil. And clearly Tolkappiyam says, use EL Tamil, Thirisol, colloquial Tamil, Disaichol, border area, mixed Tamil, and Vadaswal in Tamil. So you can't, if you remove it, that means you are not following what you call Tolkappiyam. So what they have done is, unfortunately, they have taken all these 19th century character as a Vedic dictum, and they said this is separate culture, this is separate Dravida as a separate country. Dravida was not. By saying Dravida, you are suppressing the greatness of Tamil.
Well, that's fantastic and fascinating information, Professor Nagaswamy. Now, in conclusion, let's reiterate that this is not some new or separate culture. Everything is evolved at the same time. They've all had their charms and positives and negatives and so on and so forth. Now, in conclusion, what we are trying to say is that we are all the same. There is no difference across, right from, should we say, Gandhara land or even Iranam. Even that is used to be Sanatani.
Everywhere, all. So Prakrit and Southeast Asia, and that's why you see, we have nearly 20,000 verses between 5th and 6th century to 10th, 11th century in the form of devotional literature.
Bhakti.
Devaram, Bhakti, devotional literature. And there, great saints like Appar, Sambandar, and also the Vaishnava saints, Alvars, they say, Vadamoliyum Tendamidum Anan Kandai. You are the embodiment of Sanskrit and Tamil. That's why we have, even as late as the about 5 or 6 years back, we had a Semmozhi conference in Coimbatore, where V.C. Nagaswamy, who was the great exponent of Dravida system and so on, he gave a big lecture, for a common lecture, where he said both Tamil and Sanskrit are two eyes of our culture. And recently, other minister in the present government also said these two are eyes of our culture. So they are not separate. They are so intermingled, you cannot divide them or remove any one from another.
So this is merely a political gimmick to try and garner some votes in the favor of trying to carving it out. But beyond that, it's all the same. And thank you very much, Professor Nagaswamy.
Thank you. Thank you.